Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army. Army officers say the missile, found sometime last week, has been inspected at Roswell, New Mexico, and sent to Wright Field, Ohio, for further inspection. Headline edition will bring you special reports and interviews in a moment.
How you doing? This is the guy from Pittsburgh. And you know, I was listening tonight to, of all things, Somewhere in Time. I set the clock to record this video, and then I got a phone call, and that knocked everything to a cocked hat. But I listened to half an hour of Somewhere in Time, where Art Bell told us that the Phoenix lights, were also seen over Henderson, Nevada, and I had someone in Bell Gab ask me about the Phoenix lights. And during the time of that broadcast, and mind you, this is in 1997, there was also a major UFO flap happening in Nevada, with multiple V-shaped craft appearing over the skies of the Las Vegas area. And unlike Noory's callers, who kiss his butt at every opportunity and say how, "Oh, George, you're so wonderful, and thank you for bringing us the information you tell us about," every one of Bell's calls was a solid hit. It was like a prize fighter and going in for the kill. Left, right. And there was calls about shadow people destroying film in a movie theater in New Jersey. Multiple calls about UFOs. A caller suggesting Art get a priest who believed in Zachariah Sitchin on as a guest. There wasn't a single call that wasn't riveting, and none of them were amazing. And that seems to be the big buzzword right now, amazing. Everybody's using that word. I don't know who started that, and I stand corrected about extravaganza. It's in my dictionary. I looked it up at the wrong spot. So I'm going to talk about a few news stories and then go to the Phoenix Lights discussion. Well, the first news story I found: widow says dead husband's face appeared on bedroom wall. And this is in Carlisle, United Kingdom. A terrified widow is called in a Catholic priest for a spiritual cleansing. Andrea Samuels said it's been happening for several months following the death of her husband, Brian, who died 4 years ago. New furniture has been broken and pictures fall off walls. Her pet bird named Spirit has flown away. Well, what do you expect with a bird named Spirit? She believes the bird was let loose and the ghost haunting her home. After she believed the face of her dead husband appeared on her wall, she decided to call in Father Dadson, a priest with the St. Bede's Catholic Church. And Father Dadson said, "I saw something on the wall that appeared as an image of a man." And he believes paranormal activity is brought on by some people's actions. In some houses, things have been done. Maybe people have carried out some kind of sacrifice or other activity that influences people with the forces of evil. Well, I saw the picture, Father Dad's, and it looked like a face to me. Spiritual cleansing was recorded in the house, which includes prayers and spreading of holy water throughout the house. And the woman believes it helped. Now, some say it's a water stain, or she's seeing what she thinks she wants to see. But it looked like a face of a guy to me. And let's see. UFO spotted over Blackburn, England. In East Lancashire. Strange white glowing object hovering over Blackburn. As reported, UFO sightings are spreading across the world. What I don't understand is we've had UFO sightings ostensibly occurring almost since man first came on the earth. Our government won't tell us what they know, and the UFO occupants won't openly come out, introduce themselves to the bulk of humanity, and tell us what they're doing. And I've never understood that why that's not happening on either end. And December 13th, there are these sightings above Lancaster, above Blackburn, in Lancashire. And let's see what else is new. Oh, this is an interesting story. Remember in the old movies, you'd see a guy's getting killed, and they would say they could see the pictures in the dead man's eyes of the killer. Well, now forensic experts say they may be able to capture an image of a suspect through the eyes of bystanders. It's possible, they think, to take photographs of a crime scene and zoom in and out of and analyze the reflections in someone's eyes. Excuse me. Researcher Rob Jenkins, to enhance the image, you have to zoom in and adjust the contrast. The face image recovered from a reflection of the subject's eye is 30 times smaller than the subject's face. This could prove invaluable where a kidnapper is taking pictures of a hostage. The photographer themselves unknowingly ending up being the subject of the very photograph they are taking. And there's another story here which I find interesting. Let me see if I can find it here. Star Wars hologram phone within 5 years. I certainly hope so. It would solve a great deal of problems we're having with Skype and recording and videos. A company in Poland is developing a 3D holograph communication mechanism for mobile phones. The company, named Leia Display Systems, is aiming to make their groundbreaking hologram communication device available to consumers within 5 years. Our holograms will take video phone calls to the next level. It uses a special camera on one end to record the video and a hologram generator on the other end that uses water vapor to produce a three-dimensional image. Well, I don't know how you're going to get all this water vapor off your coffee table. They said right now our machines are 6 feet high, but they're designing smaller versions that can be set up on a coffee table. So that's an interesting story. I hope they get it to work. I wouldn't mind having one of those in my front of my Mac. I hope it wouldn't drip down on my solar keyboard. And this story, the final one here before I go to the Phoenix Lights. Inactive sun can herald mini ice age, so you better get your jacket, your hat, your gloves, and your scarf, and wear your woolen booties or your furry booties. Scientists remain perplexed by the inexplicable and severe lack of activity exhibited by the sun. The sun's activity has dropped to an extent there are fears it could trigger a miniature ice age, which was known as the Maunder Millennium. Astrophysicist Richard Harris has said he's never seen anything like this. The lack of solar activity is surprising. The sun is currently at its peak of its cycle when it should be at its most intense. Maybe the sun's tired. I mean, it's been there for billions of years. Maybe it's wearing itself out, ejecting all that coronal mass stuff and sunspots and solar flares. Scientists say it's possible the sun will come increasingly quiet, leading to colder winters, especially in Europe. The last time this happened, the Baltic Sea and the River Thames froze over. Well, I don't know about harsher winters in Europe because the weather's nuts here. It was 72 2 days ago here where I live. It's chilly at night, and yet people in the Midwest are still freezing, and you got blizzards. So, they think that Europe should expect colder winters when solar activity is low. That kind of makes sense to me, but I don't know what to make of it. Okay, I'm going to go to the Phoenix Lakes in a minute. And I'm going to take a break here. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I was trying to figure out why it was so cold. I left the door open. It's going to remain open for now. Well, the Phoenix Lights. That was in 97. And it was a series of lights that appeared over Phoenix, Arizona. Was also seen in Mexico. And as Art Bell reminded us, it was seen in Nevada. Lights of various descriptions were seen by thousands of people I hate when they do military time. I can't, between 1930 and 2230 Mountain Standard Time in a space of about 300 miles from the Nevada border through Phoenix to the edge of Tucson. There were two distinct events, a triangular formation of lights and a series of stationary lights. The Air Force identified the second group of lights as flares, and yet witnesses say there were no flares. I'm always amazed that the Air Force and our government identifies these things right away, and yet they've never identified, and there's actual photographs of this, the UFOs seen over the nation's capital in 1952 that were seen both visually and on radar. It's been documented. They had press conferences on it, but those were never identified. Witnesses also said they observed a huge Carpenter Square UFO containing 5 spherical lights or light-emitting engines. Fife Symington, the governor at the time, who made fun of the incident in a press conference, which he later apologized for, called the object otherworldly. The lights supposedly appeared in 2007 and 2008, but these lights were attributed quickly to military flares. There's that flare story again. And flares attached to helium balloons released by a civilian, yet no evidence of any prankster ever releasing flares was found, nor was anybody ever arrested. Around 7:55 PST, a man reported a V-shaped object above Henderson, Nevada. These were also reported in multiple calls to Coast, Art Bell's show. The man said it was about the size of a Boeing 747. It sounded like rushing wind. It had 6 lights on its leading edge. The light went northwest to southeast. Art Bell also reported seeing a giant triangular UFO with his wife out in the desert. Another man, a police officer from Paulden, Arizona, claimed to be the next person to sight the lights. He left his house at about 6:15. As he was driving north, he saw a cluster of reddish-orange lights in the sky, 4 lights together and a 5th light trailing them. Each light in the formation appeared to consist of 2 separate points of orange light. He returned home and through binoculars watched the lights till he disappeared over the south. Now, Art Bell, in his Somewhere in Time show, said he had multiple reports of orange lights being seen over the Nevada skies at the same time. Callers were calling in talking about orange lights from all over the place. This is why I don't think they were flares. They weren't reflections off the sky or any of that. In Prescott and Prescott Valley, lights were also seen. Callers began reporting the object was definitely solid, blocked out much of the sky. That doesn't sound like a flare to me. Flares don't block out much of the sky, do they, U.S. Air Force? John Kaiser was standing outside with his wife and sons in Prescott Valley when they noticed a cluster of lights to the west-northwest. The lights formed a triangular pattern, but all of them appeared to be red except the light at the nose of the object, which is white. The objects were observed for 2 to 3 minutes with binoculars and passed directly overhead to the observers. And by the way, I have multiple pictures in my computer, which I'll post after I go to the Apple store on Tuesday, which show these lights clearly in the skies. In some cases, some of the pictures have them over the skyline of Phoenix, and you can clearly see the difference between city lights and these lights in the night sky. These lights were seen to bank to the right and disappeared in the night sky to the southeast of Prescott Valley. Altitude could not be determined. They made no noise, but were awfully low. The National UFO Reporting Center got a report from an astrophotographer. He observed 5 yellow-white lights in a V pattern moving slowly from the northwest across the sky to the northeast, turned south, and continued out of sight. The point of the V was in the direction of movement. The first 3 lights were in a light V, while 2 of the lights were further back along the lines of the V's legs. During the transit, one of the lights moved up and joined the 3 and then dropped back to the trailing position. I estimated a 3-light V to cover about 0.5 degrees of sky, and the whole light group of 5 to cover about 1 degree of sky. In the town of Dewey, east of Prescott, 6 people saw a cluster of lights while driving northbound on Highway 69. Well, it goes on and on and on. And in Kingman, people saw lights. Repeated lights was recorded by the local Fox News television station. The FAA and the military officials said these were flares. I say BS. In 2008, lights were again reported over North Phoenix by local residents. They formed a vertical line, spread apart, made a diamond shape. I never heard of flares making diamond shapes, not even the ones you see on the highway. They formed a U shape at one time. Tony Topriak videotaped the lights. An official from Luford Air Force Base denied any U.S. Air Force activity in the area. No flares, I guess they were fresh out. Another guy reported to a newspaper the lights were nothing more than his neighbor releasing helium balloons with flares attached. And some guy claimed to have attached flares to helium balloons and released them for his backyard, but no name or pictures of the alleged hoaxer were ever found. Nobody was ever cited, ticketed, or charged. Imagery of the Phoenix lights falls into 2 categories. Images of the triangular formation seen over Prescott and Dewey, and images of the Phoenix event. All known images of the second event were produced using a variety of commercially available camcorders and cameras. There are no known images taken by equipment designed for scientific analysis, nor are there any known images taken using highly powered optics or night vision equipment. There are few known images of the Prescott-Dewey lights. Television station KZAZ reported an individual named Richard Curtis recorded a detailed video that purportedly showed the outline of a spacecraft, but the video had been lost. The only other known videos of poor quality and shows of grouping lights. And it goes on and on. Something happened over the skies of Phoenix, over the skies of the Prescott Valley, over the skies of Pahrump. It was not flares. It was not the usual military debunking explanation. And I could go on and on. There's an award-winning documentary about this. And called Out of the Blue. So something happened over the skies of Phoenix. Oh my God, that thing took my whole screen up. This premiered in theaters in July 2002, produced by James C. Fox, narrated by Peter Coyote. And I don't know if you can see that on YouTube, but it is out there. They do have a website. And we're seeing stuff in the skies all over the place. So watch the skies. Free Art Bell. Hello, Bell Gabbers. And I'll do one more story here before I go. Let's see. I won't do that one yet. I'll wait on that. How do I get both of those at the same time? Let me see here. What's this one? Oh, I like this one. It isn't paranormal, but it's funny. Two men broke into a house in the Lincoln Heights section of L.A. in December, unaware that the resident had moments before called 911 after glimpsing him on a surveillance camera. When the police arrived, the perpetrator asked the resident to tie all three of them up so it appeared to be they would be the victims of the invaders who had supposedly fled. The resident complied. When police entered the home, the resident squealed on the tied-up perps, ensuring their arrest. Two associates who were standing lookout were also arrested. Said one officer, "That's what you call felony stupid." I love that story. That's one that we should have heard from Noory. Let me see. I think I'll do one more here. Give me a sec. Oh, yeah, this one. You know, I keep wondering why I forget stuff. Like, you'll get up to go to the kitchen or to go into the bedroom, and halfway there, you forget what the hell you got up for. Bill Cosby mentioned this once. He would be in the living room, go to the kitchen, and he forgets why he got up. Well, now there's a reason for this. Older brains are slower due to knowing so much. An older person takes longer to remember things because their brain contains so much information. It was long believed that as a person gets older, they have more difficult time remembering things due to the cognitive decline of their brain. But now scientists say it's more likely to be down to the simple level. The older you are, the more information you've stored in your head. The human brain works slower in old age, but because we've stored more information over time. The brain of older people do not get weak, they simply know more. The effect is that to a computer with a full hard drive, data takes longer to access than on a computer with more free space. Imagine if someone who knows two people's birthday and recall them almost perfectly, said researcher Dr. Ramskar. Would you really want to say that that person has a better memory than a person who knows the birthdays of 2,000 people can only match the right person to the right birthday 9 times out of 10? So that's finally got a scientific reason for why I can't remember anything half the time, because I got too much stuff stuffed in my brain. And with that, I will wait a minute. I got one more story here. Here's one from August. And it's interesting because we had the lights, the UFO over Chicago's O'Hare Airport, but this one, flights were disrupted at a German Air Force after a UFO appeared on radars. One flight was canceled, one was diverted, other delays occurred after the UFO drifted on the screens at Bremen Airport. It appeared several times between 4:30 and 9:30 p.m., Euronews reports. Bremen police were notified and a helicopter was dispatched, though it was unable to locate the UFO. That's kind of interesting. It's on radar, but they can't see it. A spokesman for German air traffic control told the Weser Courier it had normal lights, red and green, and approach lights on both sides. The local quotes Dominique Hober is saying the object passed over his house 4 times, flying at between 100 and 200 meters in height. So, what was that? Now, I'd like to know if you have a story about the Phoenix Lights, if you have any video, if you know who has video, I'd like to hear it. Drop me an email at falky2013@gmail.com. And I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.